And to see your grandmother say, don't kill him yet. Wait to see how we're going to split up the assets he is going to leave behind.
He is Juan Pablo Escobar, son of Pablo Emilio Escobar, and he is talking about how his grandmother Hermilda Gaviria, Escobar's mother, betrayed them. After Pablo Escobar's death, the heads of the Cali cartel, Pablo's greatest enemies, called Juan Pablo Escobar to a meeting for fear of possible retaliation from him for the threats he made in an interview after learning of his father's death. These were the threats in this interview.
Bueno, no molestar que estamos mirando a ver si es verdad o es mentira lo de papá.
La policía acaba de dar un dictamen ya, una información oficial.
No, nosotros no queremos hablar en este momento. Pero si el que lo mató lo pueda matar a todos los yo solo los mato.
In this meeting, he would confirm his suspicions about his grandmother Hermilda Gaviria's betrayal. Here he tells us how he found out.
My grandmother betrayed my father and my uncle, his older brother. All of them, if they wear clothes today and if they have a coffee today, it's thanks to my father. They never worked. Nothing they have was achieved on their own. My suspicions were confirmed when my father died.
We were called to a meeting
With the Cali cartel, they assured me that they were going to kill me there. I end up deciding to go because honestly, continuing to run away made no sense or had any purpose. And those meetings to say, well, we are going to keep all the money, but with the added twist that there I find my own grandmother. And instead of sitting, let's say, on this side, in person, she tells the Cali cartel bosses, I want to keep all their properties for myself. Miguel Rodriguez interrupts and inquires my grandmother and says, Mom, what Pablo decided in life was for his children will be for his children in the same way as what I, Miguel Rodriguez, decided in life, and that it will be for my children, will be for them. It will not be for their grandmother, nor for their mother, nor for anyone else.
Rodriguez Orejuela is the one who ends up making the decision.
Defending us, and today I have greater gratitude for the Cali cartel bosses, our enemies,
than for my own family.
But who was she and why did she do this? Hermilda Gaviria Berrio was born into a humble family, and although she had few comforts, her parents always tried to make sure that their family lacked nothing. Her father even committed crimes.
Well, there was a time when he had to be a smuggler to support his very large family.
He would get coffins where they bury the dead and fill them with rocks. And there, inside those rocks, he would bring the whiskey and get 4 or 5 ladies, dress them in black, and when they passed through the checkpoints, the ladies would start crying for the dead, and the dead would go through the checkpoint.
From a very young age, Hermilda understood that money was very important in her life. She married Abel de Jesus Escobar Echeverri, a man who was uneducated but had some land and cattle.
The man wasn't very educated. He had a farm, he had cattle, he had a lot. But you know that the god of the land is money. I was very spoiled, thinking that the salary was solely and exclusively for dressing up, because I've always liked having good clothes and dressing well.
She worked as a teacher and dedicated herself to that for most of her life. Her family lacked nothing, but she was never satisfied and always wanted more and more money.
I always complained that we were very poor.
Pablo listened to his mother's lamentations and adopted this mentality.
Just wait until I grow up, Mom. Just wait, I'll give you everything. And I lived with the hope that he would give me everything. And that's how it went.
Well, my family didn't have significant financial resources, and we faced difficulties like the majority of Colombian people do. So we're no strangers to those problems. We know them deeply and understand them.
Pablo Escobar forged his character and became what he was thanks to the person who raised him, his mother. And this led him to be a man with ambition and without limits to always look for more. But there was something that kept this ruthless man human, and that was the love he had for his family and especially for his mother. Escobar instilled this family love in his children. For him, his mother was one of the most important things in the world. And for Juan Pablo, this feeling also came up.
For the most special and beautiful grandmother in the world, El Gordo.
But after Pablo's death, this feeling for the grandmother would change.
I pray to God that mothers never have to suffer the pain I am suffering in any way. And I know my son was not as bad as they made him out to be. I know they blamed him for everything bad that happened. I want them to remember the good things he did, because he did not do the bad things they say he did.
Pablo Escobar was finally discharged. His relentless pursuit of wealth and power had brought him to his end.
I am willing to die any time. They already killed my son. My life isn't worth a damn.
His mother, who had always defended him, continued to do so in front of the cameras, even going so far as to lie, assuring that she was not sure of her son's crimes, that nothing that was said about him was true, and that she had no proof of his crimes.
He built up playing fields and a neighborhood for the poor. Nobody has ever noticed that. Yes, son, there will never be anyone better. If he suddenly did something, it was a mystery, because I never noticed anything, nor did the family, nor anyone.
Despite this, her betrayal was not revealed until after the death of the drug trafficker, and the love she showed for her son may not have been as strong as it seemed.
She was more a member of the enemy cartels than of the family, and she was his own mom.
Hermilda Gaviria had betrayed her son, making pacts and agreements with Pablo Escobar's enemies just to keep the assets left by her son, making it clear that her goal in life was always the same: to have more. But she was not the only one who made pacts with Pablo's enemies. So did some of his brothers, including his older brother Roberto Escobar.
My grandmother betrayed my father and my uncle, his older brother. All of them, if they wear clothes today and if they have a coffee today, it's thanks to my father.
My brother could be riding a horse or swimming in a pool or at a farm. Well, since we are the ones arrested, we weren't requested for them, but for us.
Juan Pablo claims that his uncle, Roberto Escobar, became an informant for the DEA, and it is assumed that he may have provided information to the search squad for the hunt for Pablo Escobar.
Basically, it was an incredibly desperate moment for me, because my uncle had received a letter bomb, and it was easy to predict that our family would be completely annihilated by my father's enemies. In the midst of that desperation, I asked him for help, and he gave me a code which allowed me to enter the United States Embassy, like he was an informant for the Drug Enforcement Administration.
So your uncle was negotiating a surrender with the Drug Enforcement Administration while your dad was still fighting the authorities.
Being understood that he was Pablo Escobar's brother, he should hardly be talking with that institution.
Demonstrating that the priorities of this family, both the mother and her children, were always the same: money, power, and material above all else.
No, actually, she seemed very sweet.
He is Popeye, an important member of Pablo's organization, and he is recounting an occasion when he was with Hermilda Gaviria.
She only once, she went to the hiding places very formally with us. She was at the house of the cathedral many times. We used to visit her there. Only once I saw her tell the boss, we were talking there. She said, "Oh, Pablo, don't kill so many police officers." I thought Doña Hermilda's heart was very beautiful, so that the police wouldn't fall. Then the boss told her, "No, Mom, this is a war we have. They are killing the young people on the corners. And why are you telling me not to kill police?" She said, "It's so you don't run out of money." So I found it very funny.
The education that Hermilda instilled in Pablo Escobar was what ultimately killed him. She did not hesitate to take advantage of everything he had to offer, no matter how he got it. It may be that what she did in that meeting she did to support her other children. However, this does not change that she abandoned Pablo's family and did not honor the will of her deceased son. So undoubtedly, Escobar would not have been who he was without his mother. She was the one who created this psychopathic mind, and who supported him and covered everything was his mother. And all this to satiate his insatiable desire for money, power, and excesses.
People have even come to believe that Pablo performs miracles because he does the tomb number and wins the lottery. And I do it all the time and never win.
This is Pablo when he made his first communion. Look how cute. Back when they were driving in the car. Pablo when he was 12 years old.
And down there you are with him when he was running? Yes.